All right, let's get to the draft, guys.
Into the draft we go. As we are now seeing both teams fight it out, the moment we've all been waiting for, which may be the spiciest series of today. Actually, one of the spiciest ones, because we knew got a banger at the end. Okay? But anyways, we are jumping into this devious activity up against the Night Horde. Let's talk about UA, all right? You're over there on Night Horde side. I'm for devious activity. And funny enough, you voted for them and I voted for DA. So let's see who can kind of win in this predictions. I got to climb back up that ladder, man. So looking at the band so far, Barats, CC, Angela taken off the table.
Yeah, it's a surprise for both of us. For the side of Night Horde, they take out the Claude and also the Arlot. The Claude, you know, we were starting to see a lot of focused bans being come through. A lot of these teams are opting to switch out the bans, right? We saw the Navaria pretty much get taken out every single game against the Bloodhounds, along with the Faramis. Now, this time around, both teams are not opting to ban out those heroes and going for a lot of different priorities, right? We saw the CC do so well and the Angela combined with it, but this time around, they do not have that available. The first pick goes for Matilda onto the T, and this is a little bit untraditional, right, Reezy? We talked about the fighters coming out from T. He's so good at the Arlot, at the Kaja, at the Ruby, but now it's going to be a support roam for the side of Devious.
Yeah, I mean, and they've been going for frontline composition junglers too. We saw them running a Kai, we saw them run a Boxia. You stack that up with something like Mathilda, it provides even more utility on the table, and I like the way this draft is going so far. They are going to go ahead and lock in this carry. It's going to be good to soak into that Fredrin and that Ruby, both of them strong frontline heroes, but they have a lot of CC on the table for the Night Horde so far. Another thing that walks through is the Navaria combination. I don't think we've got to see a Navaria and a Mathilda combo this entire regular season.
Yeah, but this is interesting, right? The side of Night Horde, they opted to go for a 2 frontline opening. And traditionally a 2 frontline opening, I feel like I would have to disagree myself in terms of the draft, right? I like how they closed it out with the Faramis, but two frontline provides a lot of weakness. That means a lot of the range carries are going to be banded out, like the Brody, which does well against the carry, and the Harith. And you know, and without a magic damage early on, the side of Devious gets to be the first one that picks it up, and they pick up the Navaria, which has caused a lot of headaches for a lot of teams. The range that she has, along with the snipes, it's just so hard to deal with that, especially when you're playing a lot of immobile heroes like the Fredrin and the Ruby. But the close out for Night Horde is quite good. I like the Faramis pick, and it kind of completes their draft. But the side of Devious, they don't have the front line, and I think Night Horde is going to take advantage of that.
Okay, I was about to say for a second, UA, it's too late to swap sides. You already placed your prediction. You can't change it. All right? I'm just throwing that out there. Ain't no switching before the draft. Yeah, so far I do agree with you, though. I think Navaria, the Mathilda is a crazy combination to be able to see together. And Night Horde needs to make sure they're prepared for this. Is this what they want? When you let meta walk through the table, it's been proven to usually win when it comes to the trades and when it comes to the series matches. So they answer back by taking the Faramis for the sustainability and a Ruby for the CC sustainability and the frontline composition in the jungle of the Fredrin. Now, they do need more damage on the table. They need something to possibly give carry a little bit of a harder time as well. They can run something like a Claude. I think it would, actually no, Claude is gone, so they can't run the Claude. They can run the Harith if they do want to counter on to this carry as well. Something that we've been seeing on the international scene, now trickling its way into the North American scene as well. It could be a possible problem. We still have yet to see the jungler for the side of Devious Activity. Boxia is still on the playing field, can be picked up, would be good, especially rushing into that Fredrin, trying to be that bully, providing that slow. They are going to have to watch out, though, for this pick up with the sustainability, right? The Ruby and the Faramis combination should be able to keep the team alive, especially on the first neutral engagements, but how will the Mathilda play into these team fights?
Oh, the Lapu Lapu gets picked up by the side of Night Horde, but I just want to say, R kind of reminds me of like the RQ Alberts overseas. Like, he's got that big build and a confident smile up there. Like, he's definitely out there, you know, fighting against the demons. But just like you're saying, the Boxia gets locked up for the side of Devious. I do think that is a good option. But now Mikasa, I feel like he has to go heavy physical, right? Maybe the Freya gets to come into play, or potentially something like a Yuzong to deal with some of the backlines. But Nighthorde, a great comp so far. They're picking up very, very strong level 4 heroes, right? The bravest fighter from the Lapu Lapu should be able to zone away quite well in a lot of the team fights, and also the Theramis, the Cold Altar. It's very, very hard to deal with, especially if you don't have the burst available. But Devious Activity completes their draft with the Black Dragon, and I think that's quite good too also.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very strong composition. Textbook drafting from the side of Devious Activity, and I think me and you could agree the last 2 picks was the best that they could possibly pull out there. The Yuzong, able to get to the back line, able to possibly get the Theramis out of position, get a knockup, hit the Petrify before he can use that Cult Altar, that Nether Realm, to keep the full team alive. Last pickup from the side of Nighthorde is going to go ahead and be that Natan. UA, I see the smile over there, and maybe that's what you were looking forward to seeing. I know you voted for the Nighthorde for game number 1, but if I got to vote, I got to stick with Devious Activity, at least in the draft. It's looking a little bit stronger.
Well, we cannot take away how much damage the Natan does. We saw earlier in A77, they were able to use that with the Nolan. Now, paired up with the physical damage coming out from the Lapu Lapu and also the Fredrin, I do think the side of Nighthorde has a very well-rounded draft, right? The heavy magic damage coming in, and if they choose to not build any physical armor, right, Sleepy's going to be able to hit through a lot of the damage. And when you look at Devious, they don't have a significant front line besides the Boxia. The Yuzong can get onto the backside, but with the Purify, the Natan has that dash to be able to kind of escape. But Devious Activities, they don't have a good set in the front line. And, paired up with the carry, which traditionally requires a good set, it makes me question if Devious Activity is able to make the impact on the gold lane.
I will say one thing though, UA. They need to be able to get back to the Navaria. They need to be able to get back to the carry. The Ruby's going to have to get out there with the I'm Offended to possibly do it, or that Fredrin. But we are going to be seeing both teams jumping into Land of Dawn. Devious Activity up against Nighthorde, our second series of the day. Fight it out for day 3 of the NACT spring season. Who will be able to claim victorious?
Yeah, it's going to be between the Black Dragons on the red side, both starting on the blue, or it's going to be the Demons on the blue side. Traditional rotations coming out from both of the members. You can see the Wilderness Blessing on both the Roams and the Magic and the Mages. And, quite traditional in terms of majority of their emblems. Not really something that we've seen anything that is out of the world. But bot side, already a good trade coming out from both sides. I do think that Atan has a slight advantage, but Melon definitely playing this lane out quite well.
I would say the same thing. I mean, the Natan has the entropy, so he can kind of expand that distance at a moment's notice or escape when necessary. But both of them kind of similar, right? They're going to need to rev up and get their core items to be able to deal that massive impact of damage toward that mid to late game. Now we're talking about who can get to the back line. Speaking of backlines, Kush, full sending R. Maybe it'll take them down. Sayori, Momoe joining the party, but Yato will get first blood for Devious Activity. Takes down R.
And, Yato is able to kind of just go in through the wall, hits the second skill, and kind of just bounce back, even with the stun that is available on that Ruby. So the mastery of Yato on this Novaria, it's definitely something that, teams are trying to ban out, because Novaria is one of those heroes that have quite a high skill cap, right? You have to aim the first skill quite well. And, the second skill also has that instant damage provided with a little bit of slow and CC. So definitely annoying to deal with. And the first kill already on the board for Yato, it's definitely going to smell a little bit trouble for the side of the Black Dragons.
Yeah, and he didn't just take down anybody. He took down R, the gold laner for the Nighthorde, which is going to delay that Natan getting online as early as they want, especially up against that carry. But both teams fight it out for this turtle. Mikasa with the Black Dragon drops down. Double knock up with the Petrify. Got to stop On My Foe. Momoe in their tracks. On My Foe. Need to get out of there. Retribution connects. Mikasa will find On My Foe. One member falling for the side of the Nighthorde, and the turtle in control from Devious Activity. Momoe will find Mikasa. A 1-for-1 trade. They do not have the Retribution, though. His foe is out. And that is going to be Kush claiming this turtle for the side of Devious Activity.
Yeah, the Demons are able to claim a free objective there, right? Mikasa was able to kind of single out the Fredrin there. Even though he was able to be taken out, the turtle still goes to the side of Devious Activities. And we could definitely tell the scaling of the turtle, right? A lot of it's not even almost about the gold that you get from the turtle. It's almost the global experience that every single member from the side of Devious is able to get. And you can already see a small level gap in between. Even the bot side, Melon is having a much greater time on the bot side compared to R for the side of the Black Dragons.
Yeah, Melon ran on that flicker, so he's going to be a little bit more mobile when it comes to these fights, especially trying to escape. If Momoi or Sleepy tries to engage and find a way to him, it's going to be a little bit of a challenge. Not only is he scaling on the bot side, but he having the mobility of the Mathilda, as you just seen with the guiding wind, is another thing that we have to talk about when it comes to these engagements, which may give Nighthorde a little bit of a challenge. But hey, they let these walk, so I'm expecting them to have a possible plan. But look at the full send to the bot side again. R, need to be careful. Devious activity up to some treachery.
Oh yeah, Devious activity actually opted to use the circling eagle, but a great disengage actually from the side of Devious, because Nighthorde has been closing on to the bot side. 4-man siege coming out from both teams. A good priority. Both of the teams are understanding that they want these marksmen to scale well into the late game, and I do feel like R needs a little bit help onto the bot side, but honestly, it's still even for both of these teams early on.
Yeah, you're already seeing Kush doing a little bit of damage to foe. Black Dragon from Mikasa hovering around, does drop down. Netherrealm has been activated, trying to keep the Nighthorde alive. Mikasa very low, but the shot has to keep him in the game. The stun connects. Sleepy will find him. Kush need to get out of there alongside T. Both of them very low. Sleepy on the chase. May be able to find him. T with 1 HP, able to escape the wrath of the Nighthorde.
Yeah, right here, R actually looking to push onto the mid side. Nighthorde, unfortunately, unable to grab up any of those kills there, and the bot side goes down for the side of Devious. So a little bit of a kind of a misrotation from the side of Nighthorde. I don't think they should be dropping the bot side tower that early, and especially when we're just 5 minutes in the game. The gold plating was still available, so Melon definitely up ahead in terms of the gold, and especially since the side of Devious was able to take the objectives early on, they're quite strong in terms of a lot of the gold and the experience.
Early, I'm offended. Connected to Melon, flickers out. A lot of utility has been used. Appraiser's Wrath as well. Melon's still alive with the carry. Gets out of there. Back to safety, and the turtle is going to go to Kush, getting everything they came for and a little bit more. Sayori, very low. Momoi trying to kite, trying to allow the Nighthorde to get out of the turtle pit. Devious activity. 2 turtles in their favor, and another kill is Melon in the mid lane. Will find R, his second death of the game.
I just want to say, like, the circling, the guiding winds from the Matilda paired with Kush trying to retribute. Oh, a snipe coming out, able to take out Momoi on the roam position. But again, the synergy coming out from T and Kush has been quite good in all of the retribution. They're able to kind of get Kush out of a lot of the dangerous situation. And this time around, Kush looking to push onto the red side, was unable to get so, but a small deny on the top side.
Ooh, and some pressure on the top to Oh My Foe. 2v1. Kush able to find him. That's going to be his 3rd death of the game. The jungler for the Nighthorde off to a rough start within the last 6 minutes. Devious activity looking to siege onto this mid turret to open up the map even more in their favor. But R and Momoi there trying to contest the stun. R very low. Mikasa with the Furious Dive will shut him down. Momoi Sayori forced it to tier 2 turret. Sleepy gonna join the party. And Devious activity shifting focus to the purple buff.
Yeah, 72 is the overall scoreboard. 4K gold lead, 6 minutes in for the Demons there. And, you know, of course, a clean game coming out from them. The side of Nighthordes, they have to kind of choose their battles a little bit better, right? Focus on the clear, maybe prioritize specific targets. But Devious is just kind of getting away with everything so far.
Yeah, taking that tier 2 turret, or no, tier 1 turret in the mid lane. Now they're down to their tier 2s for every single lane for the Nighthorde. 2,000 almost gold lead over there for Melon up against R. Already having the Corrosion Scythe and the Golden Staff for the enhanced basic attacks and the slow. Needs that Demon Hunter sword to really pack a punch, especially up against Oh My Foe and Momoi. And I mean, he's going to be a ticking time bomb ready to explode here in the next 5 minutes. As he does pick that up, you are going to see the Nighthorde now needing to find some answers, and quickly, as it's a 5,000 gold deficit turtle inside of Devious Activity's hands. Sleepy hit with the circling eagle. Melon will find Sleepy, connects for the kill. Black Dragon from Mikasa. Oh My Foe trying to get away. Sayori. Both of them forced back into the base, and the tier 2 turret will fall. Devious Activity in complete control of the early game.
Yeah, it is a complete control. 8 minutes in. It's already 8-2 on the scoreboard. Devious Activities, they're kind of just going around bullying unpunished in this game so far. And it's going to paint the picture pretty much throughout this series, right? Nighthordes, they have to kind of try and find a better team fight, maybe even a better lane situation for the toss side dive.
Yeah, Astro Echo will connect to the 4 members of the Nighthorde, and they're going in for the opportunity. Another one keeps him alive, but Moe is going to find Melon. A little bit of a misplay from Devious Activity. Sayori will find Kush. 2 members falling for Devious Activity. A slight opportunity sought out from the Nighthorde, and they capitalized.
Yeah, this is the first team fight that Nighthorde has genuinely kind of won, and it's due to Momoi on the Flicker Ruby, right? He was able to grab up both the Boxia and Melon underneath the tower, and they didn't have the spells able to kind of get away from that position. So definitely a good job coming out from the side of Nighthorde. They definitely have the ability to win some of these team fights, but they have to play it very, very carefully. They have to make sure that their spells are landing onto the right members, because if they get the shutdown on Melon, they should be able to win some of these team fights, but are here getting taken out by the Navaria 1 versus 1 on the bot side.
Yeah, Yato, a wizard in the making, the mid lane menace for Devious Activity, running on this Navaria. 3 kills, highest kills for the entire team of Devious Activity, and highest kills in this entire game, with what we would say is the staple child for the mid lane, especially early in the draft. A great pickup for Devious Activity, who is now in the lead by 5 kills, not even at that 10-minute mark, and having some good control. But we did see a little bit of a possible turnaround from the Nighthorde if they play their cards right, waiting for a mistake. Astro Echo will connect, though. Another opportunity for Devious Activity to seize. Momoi very low. Entropy activated. Melon will find Oh My Foe. Yato will take down Momoi. 2 members out for the Nighthorde, and climbing R and Sayori left to defend the mid lane.
Yeah, it's a huge team fight coming out from Devious, once again able to take out 2 of the members from the side of the Black Dragons. A 4K gold lead, right, for the side of Devious. Another strong performance. And, you know, a lot of these teams right now, we're kind of seeing a lot of snowballs, a lot of good early game aggression, but we're not getting those late game comebacks that these teams are looking for. And maybe Nighthorde has it in them to be able to do that in this series. And definitely in terms of their draft, they have the ability to do so, right? Natan on the backside dealing tons of magic damage, Sleepy forcing a lot of physical defense from the side of Devious. So, you know, they do have what it takes. Moy does use the I'm offended, but I don't know if that's going to be the right target.
Yeah, both teams fighting it out inside of the jungle, but still working in Devious Activity's favors. The tier 2 on the top side will fall. Good rotation over there from Mikasa. Lord on the bottom side, and it looks like the tier 2 for the mid lane. The last tier 2 standing should be falling here momentarily, putting Nighthorde in a checkmate position. Needing to be careful as you see that Astro Echo connect over there from Yato. Some great placement with this Navaria pickup. Tier 2 does fall. Black Dragon from Mikasa hovering around, not allowing Nighthorde to get out of their base. And from here, Nighthorde really has to kind of pick their battles, right? They're down by 6,000 gold. I don't even think they're in a position where they can contest on this next Lord. I think they need to get R online, right? He needs a couple more kills. He needs a kill. He needs some gold in his favor to really start scaling, especially against Melon, who should be fully online now, almost getting the full build to possibly shut down the frontline composition.
Well, the side of Nighthorde, I do think they have to secure some of the backline presence that Devious can dive to, right? Kind of peel the Yuzong off the Natan and try to make sure that all the members can be set well, but it looks like Devious are going in.
Whoa, triple knockup. Certainly Eagle and the Astro Echo combination from Devious Activity. A Black Dragon almost able to seal the fate, but Nighthorde makes their way back into their base. Devious Activity maintaining their pressure, keeping their foot on the gas.
Yeah, I still think Nighthorde should have the ability to clear a lot of the waves, especially when it comes down to their inner tower, which they're doing quite a great job here. The conceal coming through, the I'm offended misses here, and seems like T might be caught out in a position here.
Yeah, even when caught out of position, he's just so mobile and able to sustain himself. Sleepy, on the other hand, though, will fall. T is the one that gets that kill to Mathilda. Melon will find Oh My Foe, and back to the base Nighthorde goes. Another trade in favor for Devious Activity, increasing their lead to almost 8,000 gold.
Yeah, 2-for-0 trade there for the side of Devious. They're able to get pretty much whatever they're looking for in any of these team fights. Now the siege goes on to the mid side. The Black Dragon is there available.
And the 3-man Astro Echo trying to get a wipeout, trying to open up the base for the Night Horde, but a little bit of pushback. Night Horde able to fend them off. Minions are in play for the top side and the mid. Mikasa and Melon still putting on that pressure. Will crack open the base for the Night Horde.
13-4 is the overall scoreboard. 13-minute match. AK gold lead the side of Devious, looking to grab up the next neutral objective. And, you know, I honestly feel like they have been playing this game quite well, right? Devious played extremely cleanly. They haven't really lost a significant team fight yet, but if Night Horde is looking for a win here, they definitely have to go in here.
Ooh, big I'm offended. Momoe able to catch Yato. Finds the backline for Devious Activity. Off to a good start for this engagement. Black Dragon from Mikasa, though, trying to find a member of their own. Melon will find Sleepy a 1-for-1 trade. Devious Activity still in control of the Lord Pit. Momoe trying to find an opening. Rushes in, but caught by 4 members of Devious Activity. Forces out the Netherrealm.
Oh, huge.
From Sayori. R with entropy finds Melon. Oh, my foe will take down Mikasa. Stun. Sayori will take out T. 4 members falling for Devious Activity. A complete turnaround for the Night Horde. But look at Kush in position. Retribution. Does he go in for a UA? One shot. One opportunity. Trying to get around. Oh, my foe spots him out. I don't know if he'll be able to sustain himself long enough. I mean, look at the Lord. It's not low. You're going to see Momoe very low mortality. Sayori will find Kush. R will fall. Yato shuts him down, wraps around, has a sniper, finds Momoe. Will he be able to get this Lord, though? Oh, my foe, able to claim it. No retribution needed. Night Horde will take this Lord.
That was too close to comfort for the side of Night Horde. They had the lead there, but, you know, Kush was there kind of making things extremely hard for the Black Dragons. But the Lord now is marching down on to the top side. This is the first time that Night Horde is able to get victorious in this team fight. And it's due to the I'm offended from Momoe, right? He was able to kind of cleave onto 3 of the members, grabbing them all up to one spot, letting R there kind of getting the free hits. But take a look at the top side here. The Lord does go down along with the Matilda second skill, being able to kind of just take the Melon away from the team fight safely there. It is going to be the Lord going down, but Night Horde with a breath of fresh air.
Hey, I mean, I don't know about you, UA, but the way that the Night Horde was able to turn that around and get 4 members taken off the board for Devious Activity, that's pretty scary. That's letting you know the later this game goes, the higher of a chance they have to turn this back around. I mean, if they can pull that off one more time, they may be the ones who close out this game. Devious Activity, yes, they had the massive advantage in the early game, and now getting to that 16-minute mark, it's going to boil down to who can execute a little bit better.
Yeah, and definitely Night Horde has that moment of greatness there. They're able to kind of just cleave through the members of Devious Activity and get that winning team fight. But that's also due to Devious Activity, a little bit of a misposition, along with just being a little bit greedy, right? Everyone kind of dove into the I'm offended, and then the Ton just kind of cleared the HP bars of the Devious members. But this time around, I do think that Devious has you know, is a little bit more conscious on that. And if Momoe is able to get another good team fight there, get the I'm offended onto multiple members, I do think that is going to be the winning condition of the side of the Black Dragons.
Speaking of winning conditions, both teams fighting it out over the purple buff. Some nice engagement, but neither side will find a body. You did mention, though, the Night Horde having the opportunity to possibly turn this back around. I mean, hey, you stay in the barbershop long enough, eventually you'll get a haircut, right? And it looks like they're trying to get that full Caesar up against Devious Activity. And they may be able to do it. I mean, if they can get to that 23-minute mark, I mean, it's anybody's match. I would even say right now, they have the potential to possibly be able to close it out in these engagements. It's just going to boil down to Mikasa, right? He needs to find a way to get to R, shut him down with the Petrify. But it's a hard battle when you have Momoe to rush up against you. He has to change CC. You have the Netherrealm to keep the team alive. And you have On My Foe with that walking Petrify, that energy eruption, not to mention Sleepy. And I think this is where they're starting to kind of shine a little bit better. When there's no turrets that they're really fighting over, when it's just an all-out 5v5 engagement, they have a good composition to take that fight.
Yeah, and also like the cold altar impact coming out from Sayori, it's almost perfect every single team fights. They're baiting out multiple spells. They're forcing the Black Dragon to come down when that cold altar is popped. So I feel like Nighthorde, they definitely have a very strong team fight composition. But one of the key factors that allowed them to win that team fight was taking out Yato in trade for Momoi. And, you know, if they're able to do so once again, it might smell a lot of trouble here.
Ooh, they're going to risk it all. A lot of ultimates going down, trying to find Kush, but the guiding wind to bring him back to safety. And now the counterplay. Triple knockup from the Lord, assisting Devious Activity. Mikasa, like Superman, rotating around. Yato will take the Lord for Devious Activity. Melon will find Sleepy. One member falling for the Nighthorde. Needs to get back to the base. Yato not going to allow them to go back with ease. Momoi, very low. Double set. I'm a fitness. Sayori will find Yato. 1-for-1 trade. Knock up. Furious dive onto R. Very low shot. Essence trying to seal his fate. Melon with the speedy light will find him. Sayori takes down Kush. 2-for-2 trade. But wait a second, oh my foe needs to get away. Mikasa right behind him. They're not going to go in. They're going to go for the ender. Look at the Lord at the base. Momoi, Sayori there to defend. Melon, speedy light wheels is all they need. And Devious Activity takes game number 1 against the Nighthorde.
18-12 is the overall scoreboard. 19-minute game, 2K gold lead. Devious Activity was able to become victorious in the best of 3 game 1 up against the Nighthorde. And a great performance coming out from the side of Devious. 18, 12, and 41 is the overall KDA. And Devious came out with kind of a bang as usual, right? They're able to pick up a lot of good heroes, and they're able to kind of get the map up in their favors, winning pretty much every single small fights and trades that the side of Nighthorde was trying to throw at them. And you know, if you take a look at pretty much the whole team statistics, the towers were in favors of Devious, the Lord, the Turtles, everything was kind of in favor of those demons. So definitely a good job, well done for the demons there.
Oh, it was a little tricky though, man. That was too close for comfort, honestly. Like jumping into game number 2, if the Nighthorde plays like they did at the end, I mean, we may be seeing a game or a series go all the way to a game 3. There was a lot of things that went right over there for Devious Activity, but there's a lot of things that went wrong. And I think it really started with, okay, early game, they got to neutral objectives. They had it on point, laser focused, able to claim what they needed, and took total control. But when it came to that mid to late game, we saw them fall into a pattern that we see a lot of teams fall into, where you're not able to close it out with the major gap that you had. I mean, I think there was like a 6,000 gold lead at one point, and they fought it out in a 5v5 clash, and the Nighthorde actually won that trade against Devious Activity, which to me is kind of crazy. But to be able to see that lets you know that they have a shot to even out this series. I know me personally, I hate seeing matches that are one-sided. I don't like seeing games be 2-0 sweeps with the series. So I'm hoping for game number 3, but at least I do have a little bit of insurance. So if we're going for predictions, I'll know you, Wei. I might get you on this one if they're not careful.
Yeah, well, Nighthorde coming in 19-minute game here. You know, they just fell a little bit short. I felt like, you know, R on the marksman, he definitely, if he died just a few more times less and got a few more kills, they could have definitely turned things around. You can see Sayori with a perfect score there, but Devious was going to be the one that becomes victorious in this series. Melon is going to be the rich guy. Carry is going to be Yato. Sandbag on Kush. The Forgotten One on T. So all the members of Devious able to kind of get the status that they're looking for here, grabbing up all the trophies. And you know, Devious, again, a wonderful game coming out them in the very first game.
Golly, look at Yato's damage on the Navaria. Just outscaling everybody by a massive amount. Just such a problem on a mage that we don't really see too often, because it's always banned out. That Navaria, such a strong impact with the Astro Echo, with the Astro Meteor, those snipes across the Land of Dawn, just catching somebody off guard. And I just think it was some great execution. It's really interesting seeing the way this played out, though. For them having such meta picks, having a Mathilda, having a Navaria, 2 heroes that you normally never get to see on a team, not alone, especially being on the same team. That's even harder to be able to pull off. And to be able to see how close of a game that was at the end, you got to give Nighthorde a little bit of credit, right? I mean, maybe they can turn this back around in their favor. But for the side of Devious Activity, I think it was some great execution. If they have one thing that I think they could do a little bit better, it's closing the game out when you have such a major advantage. But other than that, I think the early game, they have it on point.
Yeah, and I think for the side of Nighthordes, they definitely had a lot of those skills in the bag. A lot of the heroes that they did choose was quite meta. If they could focus a little bit more attention on the bot side, give R a little bit of time, because quite honestly, Melon did a great job on the gold lane. He was able to kind of take advantage of the bad early game that Natan has, win a few of those trades, and actually having the lane to himself on the bot side. You can see him hit the gold crab a few times. He had kind of the flexibility to just go around. He just wasn't scared because he was able to see the pathing of the jungler. So I think Nighthorde, if they were able to kind of stay in more bushes, try to get a surprise attack onto the gold lane, maybe they could shut down Melon a little bit early on, because it definitely shows that both these teams have some sort of weakness, right? It wasn't a complete clean landslide, even though in terms of the towers, right, DVS was able to kind of defend majority of it. But in terms of the late game team fight, it was definitely like both teams had the advantage. Both teams was able to get the victorious. It's just that DVS had a little bit higher in terms of the gold and the experience, and was just able to prevail and secure a lot of those fights.
Yeah, and then jumping into game number 2, one thing I would love to see, at least from the side of Nighthorde, is a little bit more pressure in the early phase, right? Especially getting a trade on these neutral objectives, and also keeping their gold laner alive. Too many times we've seen a rotation to the bot side to shut down Natan super early, which gave Carry a massive power spike, not only to farm on the gold plating for that turret, but also to be able to take down the turret. I mean, there was one point in the game when me and you were kind of scratching our heads and we were wondering, like, okay, everybody rotated to the mid lane to try and do a mid lane siege before the first 5 minutes, and they just completely gave up the bottom side turret for free to a carry.
And they didn't even trade for it.
No, there was no trade. So I wonder, first of all, I wonder who made that call, and I would highly advise against it. But other than that, yeah, just some heavy focus in the beginning to not allow that one-sided snowball to start forming from the side of DVS activity, because I don't think they're going to give them that chance again to get to that 16 to 20-something minute game to be able to turn it back around. And I think if they need to improve on anything, it's going to start with the early game.
And I do think we're going to head into the second game of our draft. This time around, I feel like the side of Nighthorde, if they're able to pick up the Novaria, it's definitely going to be a good option there, because unfortunately they didn't really have too many assassins to get onto the backside. They had the Lapu Lapu, but the Novaria is just way too far in the backside. So maybe picking that hero up themselves, forcing DA to have that backline counter, maybe, forcing that Yuzong to come out to play, because quite honestly, Nighthorde, they were struggling to deal with Yato, and until they were able to find the shutdown onto him, then they were able to get the winning team fight. So I think that's going to be a great option. It does get banned out here in the first phase, and another hero that got banned out that was not picked, the Joy, in this time around. And the Joy has been quite good in the jungle. We didn't get to see it in the XP lane, but definitely a good ban for the side of Nighthorde.
Yeah, we have to see how this kind of plays out, because now Nighthorde has first pick inside of the draft, which is going to open up some opportunity for them. Yes, the Navarra is off the table. The Vexon is off the table as well. So Mage Prowl is kind of lost right there. And Hilda has been taken off the table. They may go in for an XP laner. This is something that we kind of see from them. It could be a possibility. They could go in for something like an Angela too if they want to play it on the safe side. There is still a Valentina that they do have to watch out for those. So they need to be a little bit careful. They are going to go in for the XP lane. Like we mentioned though, it is going to be the R lot. So that's off to a good start. Will provide some great damage, and also if they stack it up with some CC with that Demon Gaze, those eyes that he kind of procs on with any CC that his team provides, he'll be more of a menace on the team fights.
I do like the R-Lot pick, but if we take a look at the bans, right? There's 2 mage bans, there's 1 XP, and there's 2 junglers. So I definitely feel like in terms of the hero pool, the mage and the junglers are going to be a little bit more priority. Even if the side of DVS decides to pick up the R-Lot, there's still plenty of other choices, right? There's the Ruby that can counter the R-Lot, but DVS decides to pick up the carry, and this time Toru is actually going to be subbed in for Melon. Both of them picking up the carry this time around. So a very big flexibility from the side of DVS. I actually think the Kaja that T has been loving the most. Could be an option for the side of DVS, but they opted to go for the Angela. Again, whenever I see the Angela, it's kind of like a small cheese play, right? You know, the heart guard early on, the level 1 aggressions with the sustain, it just provides a lot of support for, you know, the whole entire DVS lineup. But you know, now they have the choice. Do they want to put this Angela into the roam position, or maybe act like A77 where they had Jules QT pick this up in mid lane?
Yeah, but the thing is, there's still a Valentina on the table. So, I mean, Nighthorde could pick that up if they want. But no, they're going to go in for the Nana. Not a maze that we've seen too often, but it definitely can hit very hard in the mid lane, stacked up with a Tig. Now, we all know what Tig is capable of. For anybody that watched the first series with Jay Cutie, can be a possible problem. And, I mean, they can't really pick anything to stop him from getting those sets, at least in the roam position, unless they do an Angela in the mid and pick up a Ruby. I think that's a great option for the side of Devious Activity to stop the implosions, to stop him being such a threat. Because if not, I mean, he's going to be a very big bully. But they're going to go ahead and secure their jungler. Looks like they're going in for a little bit of that support with the front line, that Fredrin and that Angela combination. But is it the right answer? Because Fredrin's weakness is CC. And that Tig is definitely going to be a problem if not checked in the draft.
Yeah, I definitely think the side of Devious, they're going to look to ban out maybe the Boxia or the Akai, which I know Foe is a great Akai, so we're definitely going to be seeing that. But this time around, the Exia gets taken out. This is a kind of a questionable marksman that gets taken out on the board. I do think there's better options for the side of Devious, but Nighthorde with the Nana pick takes out pretty much the last mage that North America likes to play. But maybe we're gonna see a Gord coming out from Yato, because I definitely like the Gord pickup here, especially with the front line aggressiveness that Nighthorde has. But there is definitely a lot of options available. You talked about the Valentina to take away the implosion in the final slash, or even the Molina Blitz has a lot of great options in this draft. You know, the side of Nighthorde, they definitely have to see how they can make the impact with this last ban, because it's going to be the last time they get to shelf a hero for good.
Now, call me crazy, but they could still pick in the Clint. This is something that they've been picking up against the carry for the side of Nighthorde, and I think that's going to be their game plan. They could pick up something like the Harith, which we've seen time and time again be a good counter up against that carry. But for the side of Devious Activity, right, they have the late game damage. They're going to be relying on the marksman carry to be able to deal that massive damage out. But there goes the Ruby that we talked about in the beginning. I like this just like you do, because it can counteract this Tigreal when he goes in to be a bully, which means I'm pretty sure we can assume that this should be an Angela in the mid lane and a Ruby in the roam. But do we see the Clint for the Nighthorde? I'm trying to call it out. I don't know if it'll be a Clint, but I have a feeling that's just something they're more comfortable with.
It is a very tricky situation, right? The more front line that DVS brings, it's easier for the Nana to kind of morph multiple members onto the front side, and paired up with the CC coming out from the Arlot and the Tigreal, it's going to be a bloodbath in the front side. There's going to be a lot of heavy CC coming out from both teams. Now, DVS definitely has the better sustain, but in terms of the raw magic damage, especially the buff Nana recently, it provides so much AoE, and this is what I like to see from Nighthorde. Bring in the early game damage, the bully. Brody gets picked up, and I know, Weezy, you got a history with this hero here. This matchup is quite good for the side of Nighthorde, and Dairoth going up against the tanky frontline sustain of Devious pairs quite well for the Black Dragons.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a threat. It's going to be a problem for Kush on the Fredrin. I mean, if Dairoth can find his way into the Fredrin, break that armor nice and early for these engagements, they can pretty much burst him down with ease. Brody, I like the Brody pickup, especially against a team that has an Angela, because you can pretty much guarantee if Mikasa, or if they're running this Ruby in the roam position, Angela is pretty mobile, right? I mean, she can just use that heart guard and teleport to anybody. So they're going to be diving into the gold lane and trying to shut down R. And we've seen them do that in the last game, right? They were able to shut him down, get an early pick off. Valentina does get picked up for the last slot, which means Implosion is going to go over to Devious Activity, which is huge. We talked about this, right? The Valentina was left and slotted last in the draft, and I think that is very strong for Devious Activity. We're off to another great game between both of these teams. But when it comes to the early phase, I mean, It's a hard one. I like both drafts. I would have to say I'm still favoring Devious Activity though.
I do think the early game Night Horde has quite the advantage, especially with the Brody pick. Brody being picked up in the gold lane kind of changes the dynamics of the game. And why? It's because Brody has such a good early game advantage that he doesn't need a lot of items to be able to deal tons of damage. And if he lives in a lot of the team fights, he pushes the towers quite well. And paired up with the Dairoth, which cleaves a lot of the armor, and the front line that Devious does not have to be able to tank the implosion, tank the Molina Blitz, and also the final slash, I think Devious actually is in trouble with the draft that Night Horde has come out. The well-rounded early game paired up with the aggressiveness that Dairoth and the Brody has, it's going to be a lot of trouble for the side of Devious.
Yeah, it could definitely be a lot of trouble as we are now jumping into Land of Dawn for game number 2. Devious Activity up against the Night Horde, ready to fight it out in the Land of Dawn. Night Horde needs to find a way to take this game to even out the series as Devious Activity up with match point.
Yeah, you know, we're kind of talking back to the casting votes where no one has believed in the Night Horde besides me. So hopefully this time around, Night Horde proves that they are worthy here. Bot side though, a little bit of cheese from T, able to use like a 2v1 situation, pushing Sleepy back into the tower. And you know, the opening that Devious has always gives them a good advantage. And you know, T's just able to make those high plays and make sure that he can cause the impact. And look at the rotation from the Tig. Even nowadays, he's trying to help out in the XP lane because of the pressure that T has provided early on.
Ooh, speaking of pressure, we're just seeing a lot of flickers baited out early from the Night Horde. Devious Activity ready to take that fight at any moment. Now, you did say the early phase kind of favors the Night Horde, especially with the early composition. Having that Brody, having that Dairoth, they need to lean in on that, right? We mentioned the Night Horde struggling in the early game for game number 1, but with this composition, on paper, they should not be bullied in the early game as long as they're able to execute with the draft that they have ahead of them. For Devious Activity, it's going to take them a little bit longer to get online, right? They're pretty much going to try and wait for Yato to get a good implosion. But other than that, it's really just going to boil down to some good sets from Mikasa and waiting for Toru to get those items to hit the power spike to be able to burst down the players of the Night Horde. So early game, Night Horde does have an advantage, and you're already seeing both teams fight it out on the bot side. Pull in though from Mikasa, grabs Oh My Foe. Taunt to Yori will find one. Kush will find Oh My Foe. A 1-for-1 trade as Mikasa does fall. And now you are looking at Kush in an awkward situation, trapped on the wall. Precious wrapped with the 3-man damage. Kush will find Sleepy, gets the double. Heart Guard activated, keeping him alive from Momoe. Back to the base, Devious Activity takes control for the turtle.
Yeah, it's a huge trade coming out from Devious. The sustain coming out from the Heart Guard, paired up with the ultimate of the Fredrin Bonk, able to secure that team fight for the side of Devious. And one of the things that I was worried about Devious is their front line going to be able to tank the damage coming out from Foe along with Implosion, but 2-man set.
Whoa, Oh My Foe will find T. Kush will fall as well. Oh My Foe off to a great start. Picking up a double and the Blade of Heptases to make him hit even harder in this game.
And that's the draft that Night Horde has set up in this game, right? They're able to have this early game advantage damage from the Nana and also the Dairoth to be able to kind of just peel off multiple members, especially the front line of Devious. So I think the question is Devious front line able to sustain against the damage from Night Horde? Or is Devious able to sustain it and kind of turn up on this team fight? Because quite honestly, Night Horde still has the early game advantage, and you could take a look at the gold lead and the kills on the board. It does belong to the side of the Black Dragons.
They are running and gunning. The Night Horde off to a great start, you know, rotating as a team, getting early kills. But the only issue I have with this is they're playing a little too fast, right? And they may need to be careful as if they get too greedy, they're going to lose the lead that they've built up already. You know, the Dairoth, we don't normally see him in the jungle. And I mean, he can fall off if he's not careful. Needs to be a little careful as we get into these engagements, but still finding another by Yato. Oh My Foe was 3rd kill of the game in the last 4 minutes. And Devious Activity has yet to catch on and find an answer to respond on the mid lane, though. The taunt, Oh My Foe, 2v1, will not be able to sustain himself, and Kush will find the kill.
Yeah, well, I just want to say for this Dairoth pick, a lot of players overseas has been able to pick up this hero right here, but are on the top side. Going up against Tori with the implosion, he's going to be able to take out the gold laner from the side of Devious and hopefully get a siege ongoing, while on the opposite side of the map. Ooh, before that.
Ooh, good implosion. Catching Momoe. The minion falls. Wait a second. He should be able to sustain himself or need to get away. T will take him down. Yato on the chase. Momoe able to make his way back to his side of the jungle. Turtle in play, and oh my foe will pull the aggro. Does have the Abysm Strike, does have the Retribution. Will be able to claim it for the Night Horde. Another objective in their hands. Kush finds Momoe with the Praises Wrath, though, as a response.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit of trouble for the side of Night Horde, right? A 4-1 front line from the side of DVS pretty much completes their whole entire company. Mikasa here.
Whoa! Hit with the CC. Procamolina's Gets will be able to go back to safety. Oh my foe is going to make up the distance, though. Will clear out the mid lane alongside Sleepy. Final slash on Mikasa. Oh my foe, 2v1. We'll be able to break that armor, but not going to go in for the kill. 6-5 on the scoreboard.
Yeah, it is still a small lead for the side of Night Horde, but it seems like DVS is able to get a little bit more momentum in these team fights. And once again, I feel like if Kush is able to get a few kills just like this, the front line of DVS is going to be quite hard to hit through. And, you know, for the side of Night Horde, they're relying on picking off the front line. They have the R-Lot, they have the implosion coming through. So that's why they need to get the front lines to be able to kind of just peel them off early on. And the side of DVS is quite strong here.
Yeah, the stun on the Kush, Abysm Strike, and Sayori will find him. Gonna be able to shut him down. That will be the jungler falling for Devious Activity. And now rotating to the top side, running and gunning it. But this is gonna be Mikasa. He is running the Ruby, one of the heroes that's very hard to dive because of the chain CC and sustainability that Ruby provides. Do they get it, though? I mean, they may have a chance. T in the mid lane, though, alongside Yato. Does get the implosion on Oh My Foe. A little bit of wasted utility there, though. But the siege for the top side on the way with the distance, with R in position. They should be able to claim this. I'm Offended connecting onto the minion, but not able to stop them from taking this tier 1 turret for the top side. First turret for the Night Horde in their advantage. Now even it out 1-to-1 turret for each side.
Yeah, it's good news for the side of Night Horde. They have the early game composition, right? The Brody, the Implosion, the Nana. That's a lot of CC that the side of Devious has to kind of go against. But the longer this game goes, I feel like the Angela might be quite good.
The Implosion with the flicker, but only catches one member. R will find Kush. High value target as they don't have the Retribution. Oh My Foe will be able to claim the second turtle of the game for the Night Horde.
Yeah, you know, Devious Activities, they're getting picked off left and right, and it's due to the implosion impact that the side of Night Horde has, right? They can pick off whoever is onto the front side, and it's quite hard to deal with so much CC coming through.
Final slash does hit Mikasa, but not able to shut him down. 1 minute to go through, able to claim it. Mikasa, not able to get away from the torn apart memories. R will shut him down. T will find Oh My Foe. 1-for-1 trade, but Yato finds another. Sleepy down for the count. 2 members falling for the Night Horde, and it looks like Devious Activity able to hold on to the tier 1 turret in the mid lane.
Yeah, a little bit of a small misplay coming out from the side of Night Horde there. I don't think that dive was warranted there, especially with no minions. And, you know, Devious Activity was able to defend that quite well, only losing 1 member, trading for 2. And when they're down in gold and you get these trades, even a 1-for-1 trade for the losing side is quite good. So Devious Activity is still on track to defend against this game, but Night Horde has such a strong early game paired up with the Brody that is currently 4-1. He should be able to shred out majority of the front line that Devious puts out there, especially if it's just a Fredrin or the Ruby.
I mean, look at Brody already at 30,000 damage. There's only 13,000 damage for Toru right now. But again, the carry is that ticking time bomb. The later this game goes, the more in favor it will be for Devious Activity. Night Horde has an early game composition, so they're doing what they're supposed to do with who they drafted. But the issue is they need to close this out with a fast fashion, or Devious Activity will have a chance to turn this back in their favor.
Yeah, but the one thing that Night Horde does have is the significance of the front line and the CC as the implosion.
Yeah, speaking of CC, catching Kush again, or on a killing spree. We'll find him. Mikasa trying to sustain himself, hit the final slash, trying to give it her all. Torn apart memories, heart guard to negate the damage. and it looks like Night Horde will take control of the Lord Pit.
Yeah, and the early game significance of the Brody just allows Night Horde to pick off any fights that they are looking for, especially when the implosion is, available for the side of Night Horde. They could literally pick off any member that they're looking for, even the 4-1 Kush that now has died 3 times in a row in all these team fights. They're able to kind of just grab up whoever they want. The physical shred coming out from the Malefic Roar of foe, and along with R is just shredding all the units on the front side. And Night Horde with a lead, the Lord is marching down onto the top side. They get this mid tower here, and I think they're looking to push and grab up more real estate early on.
And hey, me and you both agreed that the Night Horde needed to have an answer in the early game, something they did not have in game number 1, but this is a different story. They're able to take control of the early neutral objectives, dominating over Devious Activity, forcing them back to their base with the Lord on the top side, which means they should be able to take this tier 2 turret in the mid lane, leaving Devious Activity with their inhibitors. Now, we kind of love to ask the question, what does Devious Activity do from here if they want to have a chance to close out this series? Well, it's going to start with Toru getting those core items, staying alive, and hopefully hitting that 16-minute mark to work in his favor. And then also his team building more defense to be able to sustain themselves against the early pressure and massive damage output from the Night Horde. But you did mention Oh My Foe. Good itemization, did pick up that Malefic Roar. So not only does he have that armor burster, but he also has the Malefic Roar to go through the physical defense built from Devious Activity. So it will be a little bit of a challenge.
I still think it's the same exact question of if Devious Activity is able to tank and soak up the CC that Night Horde has prepared, right? The final slash, the Molina Blitz, the implosion, those are very, very tough CC to deal against. And Toru and Yato still has both the Purifies, but those two are not the people that are standing in the front side tanking those ultimates, right? Is Kush going to have enough sustain to be able to defend against the chain CC that Night Horde has? Is the Angela able to be there? But top side here, an early implosion. I'm not sure if that's right. Momoe.
Oh, an implosion response from Momoe, but his is a little bit stronger. Down goes T. The Night Horde still in control. Toru picking up that Demon Hunter sword, though, still working toward that late game build. But again, I mean, you kind of nailed it right on the coffin, right? You saw that implosion over there from Yato with the IMU. A little questionable. It caught Sleepy, but the team didn't execute on it. It was like, hey, let's just use this ultimate, but let's not go in for the kill. And those are the decisions you have to make as a unit, especially the later this game goes. But you are seeing Devious Activity starting to stack up.
Uh-oh, I don't know if Sleepy is going to be the right target there. He already caught the implosion on the very first fight on the top side, and this time around, Devious Activity opting to back out, and I think that is a good decision. But once again, Night Horde have the early game advantage, but Toru, even with the carry 12 minutes in, it doesn't seem like he has the ability to scale well, and I feel like it's just the team fight set up here.
Ooh, implosion for the 2-man set. Oh My Foe will find Kush. Sayori will find Mikasa. 2 members down for Devious Activity. Sleepy finds a third. Down goes Yato. Toru not going to be able to find his way in there, even with the Heart Guard from T. And another objective, the Lord going to the Night Horde.
Yeah, the Black Dragon's able to perform quite well, and I think the Brody is the key element, right? To be able to have the impact, the kill pressure that Brody has early on, and look at the damage dealt. Brody is completely, dominating in terms of the damage dealt, and paired up with the Dairoth, right? I felt like these two picks in the second phase was so strong from the side of Night Horde. They were missing so much early game potential that DA was able to set up, and, quite honestly, Night Horde and Devious Activities, they went quite even in the first game, especially early on. So this time around, Night Horde opting to go for a little bit more early game, giving R a much better time, and it's paying so much dividends. The CC chain is so hard to deal.
Conceal play, flicker, implosion, R finds Yato. Good setup from Momoe, but he will fall. Toru with the speedy light will shuts him down. Sayori will claim the inhibitor on the bot side, opening up the base for Devious Activity.
Yeah, it's a 1-for-1 trade, but it is a roam traded for the mage, so definitely advantage for the side of Night Hordes. They have the marksmans available.
Yeah, final slash, taunt, connecting onto R. Kush will shut him down, marksman falling. Make that a 2-for-1 trade. You are going to go ahead and look at Kush hit with that Heart Guard as well. Devious Activity able to fend them off, but for how long? Nighthorde still in a position to possibly close out this game, as you are going to see some late game items picked up as well. Sayori with the Divine Glaive.
Yeah, it's a 7K gold lead, but if you take a look at this replay coming through, they're able to pick up Kush quite early on, and it poses the question, does DA have the ability to tank and soak up this the CC chain and the damage that the Brody, the Nana, the Arlot is able to provide early on? Because right now, they're unable to kind of sustain the damage, and the Heart Guard, of course, is going to scale much better when we go into the late game, paired up with the carry. But DA, I don't know if they have enough frontline to be able to soak up the damage that's coming through in Momoi. A small whiff here.
Momoi just used his implosion. What was that about?
Yeah, but we still got 60 seconds for the Lord, so
got 60
that implosion,
seconds.
the implosion's coming back into play no matter what. But it definitely gives the side of Devious a small breathing room to close the gap of the 6K gold lead.
It was just kind of funny to see. Like, I don't know why he did that. I think it was a misclick, but like you said, there is still a lot of time. As long as they don't engage before it responds back, he should be fine. Now, I mean, he's been great on opening up these engagements. He always finds that slight window of opportunity for the Night Horde to capitalize on in every single implosion, minus the one we just seen. I guess that one had an impact as well. It kind of pulled me on the caster's desk. Watching it, man. He's just letting us know, hey, the next implosion is the one. Just watch out for it. Devious Activity, though. They've had a hard time finding a way to stop Momoi from getting these setups onto the team, even with the Ruby, even with Yato on a Valentina who has an implosion of her own. It's not having the impact they're looking for. Next Lord is on play, though, and Night Horde looking like they're going in for the opportunity to take it.
Yeah, Devious, they're really trying to look for a winning team fight here. Kush is in position.
There goes that implosion we were talking about. Two-man set. Mikasa caught with it. Very low. Abysm Strike. Retribution, but Kush is going to get the Lord for Devious Activity. R will find Kush to respond back. Gets a double. Finds Mikasa. Now on the chase. Toru may not be able to get away. R gets a triple. Shuts him down. Yato, T. 2 members left of Devious Activity to fight the full team of the Night Horde. But they do have the Lord on their side. Does this buy them the time they need?
What is the strategy that Night Horde is going to come through? Are they going to 4-man mid and try to end the game with the Lord march down to the top side? That's a big risk from the side of Night Horde, but they have the members available. It's 10 seconds on the death timer for Mikasa and Kush, and the side of Devious are looking to defend onto this mid, but it's quite tough.
But they have Momoi. Implosion! 2-man set! A full strike! R finds Yato, a wipeout. Momoi takes down T, and the Night Horde takes us to a game number 3 against Devious Activity.
Ooh, my God. 17-minute match. 20-10 is the scoreboard. Night Horde able to prevail in the second game of our series. So 1-1 tied, and both of these teams have a point on the board. So now it's up to, the side of Night Horde if they can draft another early game, a wonder piece, or is the side of Devious able to defend? Because Devious, they are the second team in the standings here, and Night Horde, they have 3 points already, looking to boost their score up higher. And this has been a wonderful series so far, back to back between both teams, but definitely it feels like the side of Night Horde have found a moment of greatness to deal with the aggression, especially the late game strategy that the side of Devious has offered up.
Yeah, off to an amazing turnaround for the side of Night Horde. I mean, we mentioned they have a Momoi over there with those TIG sets just on fire. At the right place, at the right time. Definitely somebody you can count on. If anybody got MVP in that one, he's definitely a contender. With a lot of those setups, just able to find a way into the back line and no responses back from Devious Activity. And we kind of talked about the keys to victory for game number 2. Night Horde needing to find a way to shut down the early game. That's exactly what they did. They maintained that pressure, had complete control, and were able to close out game number 2. 10 kills from R on the Brody, highest kills of the game. Definitely showcasing his mastery in the gold lane. And now, hey, we said it, we manifested it into reality. Yue, we're going to a game number 3.
Yeah, and I definitely think that a lot of teams should, try to divert from always picking up a lot of the late game heroes like the carry, right? And in this case, especially when the side of DVS has picked up the carry and the Angela, they're lacking in a lot of the frontline sets, and Nighthorde definitely took advantage with that. The Dairoth early game pretty much winning in every single small team fights, along with the Brody, right? The devious activities, they just weren't able to find out any of these good team fights. They lost and lost after every single fight and ended up kind of letting Nighthorde snowball through, right? And R definitely did super well early on. Same thing with Foe. High damage across the board. Nighthorde playing extremely well in the second game.
Speaking of players, Sayori barely taking any damage, able to kind of stay in the back line. The combination with the Tig and Nana, very hard to deal with if you can't get back to the Nana. And guess what? Even if you do, Nana has a passive that you have to go through and able to take her down. So overall, a great game and a good start for the Nighthorde to take us to a game number 3, which means, whew, my prediction's on the line, UA. Oh, man. Are you going to win, or is it going to be me? Time will tell, but a great turnaround from the Nighthorde. Not too many players can pull that off.
Yeah, not only if I do end up winning in this one, this is going to be the second time that I might win a vote against 5 other talents on NACT, so it's quite huge here. Guys, the underdogs are coming back this season, and it's time for the rise of the dark horses, because all the top teams, quite honestly, they've done super well in all these drafts and all these games, but I really think this year, NACT, like, it's all about the Dark Knight rising up, and we got people like Fiends, we got Bloodhounds, we got Nighthorde here taking games off the contenders of the series. You know, it paints a beautiful story, especially when you're always voting for the underdogs.
This man UA is the plague for casters. Stop it! Stop doing this! My prediction rate is going down the drain, and I can't even make sense of it. But here's some things we can make sense of. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of the jam-packed action for that amazing 2 games.
Yeah, once again, Nighthorde, they're using their advantage, right? There's not many of the side of Devious can soak up the CC, the Implosion, the Final Slash, and the Molina Blitz, and Nighthorde definitely took advantage of the early game that the side of Devious does not have. You can see Toru unable to get any of the free hits that he's always been constantly looking for. Kush did a great job denying the Lord, but puts the position out of the side of Devious, and look at the members of the retreat, right? Pretty much T's just like, nah, I'm gonna flicker out. That's a loss there, and they're just unable to defend. And Nighthorde with a good strategy at the end, just ignoring the Lord. 5-man push down Siege onto the mid side. It's a great play from the Black Dragons.
Speaking of great plays, some great things in the Land of Dawn, as we do have a little bit of a change-up, a roster swap in the making. We've been seeing a lot of teams changing it out. Sleepy will be replacing with Nikoko in the XP lane. Sleepy out, Nikoko in for the Nighthorde. Now, they won the last game. Is this the right decision? Switching your XP laner is a huge statement. Will it work in their favor, or will it be their downfall for this series?
You know, Sleepy reminds me of like those like Korean StarCraft players back in those days. Like, they're just insane at like the mechanics coming through, and taking out Sleepy after a win might be a little bit of a momentum shift for both teams. But I honestly think that if the side of Nighthorde is willing to play the early game, they took the Brody, they took the Dairoth, and I mentioned it in the second phase of draft, they're going to be dealing tons of damage early on. It's very hard to deal against that even when you build the armor, because there is still the Nana, the magic damage that the side of Nighthorde have. And you know, they're just unable to defend against the CC, against the damage, the early game aggression that the Black Dragons have. And I feel like this time around, Devious is going to be much more careful. Maybe picking up a little bit more early game, maybe picking up a little bit more frontline to soak up the damage, picking up like a Chow or something, because, you know, T traditionally is not a support player. That is one of the biggest things that we've seen so far. He's great on the fighters. You give him the Arla, you give him the Kaja, that's where he deals the most amount of impact as the role that he is. But Angela, it's a little bit questionable, and Nightheart just kind of used that to their advantage and pushed through, shoved it into their faces, got the CC down, got the early kills, and just snowballed into a beautiful game that they closed out.
Yeah, and speaking of closing things out, closing down Sleepy and replacing him with Nikoko. Now we have to see how much of an impact Nikoko will have in the XP lane, especially after a major victory in the Knights Horde's favor. I'm not really sure if I agree with a roster swap right there, but we'll see. For the side of Devious Activity, though, they're going to keep things the same, more textbook. They lost game 2. Let's kind of talk about where they went wrong there. First of all, no answer from Momoe. Even though they had an answer in drafting, the man was just a menace with the Tigro, able to get around with those implosions, and honestly, that's what really helped them out in that game. On top of that, their unorthodox drafting kind of caught Devious Activity by surprise. They pulled out a Dairoth and put him in the jungle. On top of that, not something I would have expected, but it worked out really well. They were super early and aggressive on the objectives, and they were able to snowball, and complete control of that game was in their favor. For the side of Devious Activity, I'm right there with you. I don't think they're going to give them the same chance. They're definitely going to have a little bit of a tighter shot group jumping into game number 3 if they want to close out the series. But UA, we've got an excellent series on our hands, something that I didn't anticipate being this entertaining between these two teams. But this is Devious Activity and Nighthorde. Devious Activity sitting in that number 2 position, right under Gaming Gladiators, and Nighthorde tied for the 5th position with BTK.
Yeah, but now they have the point on the board, so they're definitely going to be moving up in terms of that ladder, regardless if they do win this series or not. But Devious, they're still trying to maintain that 2nd place. If they want to beat Gaming Gladiators, they definitely have to come through. And this time around, they're able to take the dominating Novaria as a first pick. This smells a lot of trouble for the side of Nighthorde, and an early Nolan pickup. We haven't seen a lot of success on this assassin, especially when it gets picked so early on. If it's like a last pick and it sometimes slips through, we do see the aggressiveness. You know, Tarzan was able to take care of this victory there, but this time around, Nighthorde picks it up early. It makes me question, is the Natan going to be paired up with the Nolan? Is the Harith to add a little bit of magic spice onto the gold lane? But a great opening, right? The front line from Momoe along with the jungler. It's a great opening from both of these teams, actually.
Wait a second, though. Vexana is still on the table. Should be picked up from the Nighthorde. Brody will be picked up from Devious Activity. It's off to a good start. They're going to take away the Tig from Momoe. He went in for the Ruby instead. The Ruby is still technically a counter for the Tigro, but it didn't work on the favor for Devious Activity when they had the Ruby. But hey, can Nighthorde use the Ruby to their advantage up against the Tig?
Yeah, well, now I do want to see what the counterplay is to deal with the Brody, right? Are they going to just play the counter matchup, take the carry, try to get some frontline sets that Nighthorde has honestly always have? The Minnow is still available. I'm not sure if they're going to pick up too heavy physical on the front side. I feel like maybe picking up the Faramis or the Vexana that you were kind of talking about might deal good against you know, the short range auto attacks of the Brody, right? But no, we do not get the Vexana. Sayori picks up the Faramis. She's done so extremely well in this series. I think not dying a single time in both of those games, and I feel like Sayori is definitely, you know, one of the powerhouses of the Nighthorde. You know, she's able to use that cold ultra quite well in terms of the game 1, and I think this time in game 2 it's definitely going to be very impactful, especially when she has the Purify to deal with the implosion that T is going to have.
Now, I will say, though, when you're looking at Devious Activity's draft, they have a lot of survivability. You're looking at the Navaria, able to play from afar, right? She's not really that close, up close and personal as a mage. She plays from afar, uses the Astro Echo, provides a slow to the team, enhances the attacks for your team, and also has the sniping capability to take the neutral objectives or a last-minute hit to burst somebody out of the game. Brody, a good pickup in the gold lane, definitely a safe option, especially up against a Ruby who can dive if that does go in the wrong position with that I'm Offended. You have the Corrosive Strike for the stun, pair it up with the Flicker, and you're back to the tier 2 turret to live to tell another tale. The Tigro, speaking of safety, he can be a bully in the early phase, has to watch out for the Ruby, but still a safe option. I mean, today we have been seeing Tigro dominate, and not just this series, but the series before. And I think it's going to be one of those new pickups that's going to be prioritized in the early half of the draft from the top 8 teams in North America.
Yeah, but the side of Night Horde, they do have the response to the Tigreal, right? They could go for something like a Grok, or the Ruby being paired up against it could stop the implosion if necessary. Now, Nikoko picks up a very smart pick. This is something that we've kind of been worried about. Who is going to deal with the Navaria? And the Black Dragon on the Black Dragon team is definitely a great response coming through. And this is going to smell some trouble for the side of Devious, right? The Brody isn't as mobile as a lot of the marksman heroes, so Yuzong should have quite a good time. But ooh, something spicy here. The Fanny gets picked up in play, and this is something we haven't seen quite often. We love the Fanny pick in North America. There's only a few teams in our NACT that is able to use this hero, and Kush definitely is an expert at the Fanny.
Yeah, I mean, with the Fanny, provides a couple of things in the game. The Phobius will be slotted in. This is huge. I mean, there's a lot of dash from the side of the Night Horde to proc that demonic force to be able to sustain himself in those fights. Now, all the Phobius really needs is the elegant gem to really deal some damage nice and early in the game. So that's going to be the game plan. We'll be in the XP lane. Now, this is an interesting composition because you also have the Tig. When he does the implosion, whoever he grabs, the demonic force will be able to proc off of that as well. Whoever he hits with CC, it'll be able to proc. And then you have Kush on the Fanny, who's going to pave the way in the early game, trying to get to those neutral objectives, trying to get to the gold lane. Probably not going to go in for these early turtles, but shutting down whatever marksman is slotted in for the side of the Night Horde, which we have yet to see. The Claude was taken out, one of those late game damage dealers. With the Fanny on the table, I would have said a Brody would have been a great option, but now with the Brody not on their side, they're going to go in with another marksman that kind of can get a little bit of a stun in his disposal. It will be the Clint, not your traditional pickup, but a possible answer to fend himself off against the assassin Menace Kush.
Nah, the Clint is actually quite good against a lot of the assassin because his dash is built in with a stun, so it should be able to kind of push back a lot of the aggressions coming out from the assassins. And he doesn't have that much dashes, and with the high amount of base damage that he has in his skills early on, he should be able to deal quite a good amount, even if he decides to build up something like a Dreadnought or even some other armor items, right? But something that I do want to say is Mikasa on this Phobius. He's traditionally been a great Phobius player back in the past. With the amount of dashes that Nolan and Ruby gives, it might cause a little bit of trouble from the side of Night Horde, but it is an unconventional draft from the side of Devious. This is not the standard utility jungle frontline stun of the XP, but a wild card coming out from Devious.
That's right. Both teams raising the bars high as we are jumping into game number 3. Devious activity up against the Night Horde. Both sides looking to try and close out this series.
Yeah, but the Black Dragon has the momentum behind their heads. It is a 1-to-1 in the best of 3 series. Night Horde having the clear onto the mid side so far, and Devious just trying to get Kush a very fast rotation here. Now, when we take a look at some of these lanes, it's an early aggressive marksman against an early aggression marksman. So both are going to be dealing a lot of damage early on. So the impact onto the gold lane, it's kill pressure coming out from both sides. We take a look at the junglers, it's 2 assassins here, and that's quite different compared to the traditional utility versus utility that North American has almost always used.
And if you look at the rotation from Kush, I mean, he went from his purple buff over to his orange buff instead of going from his purple buff to the enemy orange buff, especially having a tick to invade. And that's because Momoe is running on this Ruby, and they know, hey, we can't be that bully in the Night Horde's jungle with that Ruby slotted in that roam position. But Kush can still be a bully in the side lanes as first blood has been drawn, and Nikoko, the last minute swap has fallen.
Yeah, that is going to be a tough kill, but once again, it is going to be on the XP. Now, the Black Dragon may not be able to be used on that level 4 when the turtle does spawn, but Night Horde still has quite a bit amount of early game. They have the ability to deal with the Navaria if they need to, but Kush here, mid?
Ooh, he almost got shut down right there. I mean, he almost got that kill, but it was a close call from both sides. You need to be careful. Nolan is one of those heroes who can burst you down on a moment's notice, even when caught off guard. And that just goes to show how much of a heavy hitter he will be for these neutral objectives. Turtle does spawn in, though. Kush able to get his first kill of the game, shutting down Nikoko, putting that pressure in the XP lane.
Yeah, now I want to see how Night Horde deals with the blue buff that the side of DVS desperately needs, right? If they're able to take away the blue buff a few times in this game, it's going to put Kush a little bit far back. And we haven't seen the Fanny been, extremely successful in our NACT. We saw Fiends able to get a victory once or twice with it. We also see Best Player take it out for a spin from time to time, but this time around it is going to be on Kush, which is an absolutely fantastic Fanny player also. So definitely going to see a lot of style points, but from the side of Night Horde, they are going to be the ones starting up this objective.
Yeah, Astro Echo going down on my foe with the Retribution. Will be able to claim the turtle for the Night Horde. Kush not able to get there in time. NetherRealm activated. Demonic Force from Mikasa. Trying to deal some damage, but not able to hit the mark. Sayori very low. Flame shot. Mikasa will find him. The knock up on Nikoko. Able to get out with the Furious Dive. Back to safety. Kush trying to close the distance, but out of energy.
Yeah, that's a good team fight from the side of Devious. They're able to pick one off, but the objective does go in the favor of Night Horde. And a small miss, I'm offended from the side of Momoe. That's definitely no problem there. The goal lead is still quite close from both teams.
Yeah, definitely quite close, but 2 kills for Devious Activity. Traded that for a turtle. Still pretty even on the board. Kush not able to close that distance on that turtle like he wanted to and didn't find the trade on the bot side. He's going to have to focus on trying to open up the early game for Devious Activity since he slotted in this Fanny. One of the things, though, that does work in his favor is even if Devious Activity does not win in the early phase, Fanny is one of the most mobile heroes in Mobile Legends to be able to split push to the opposing sides when the things don't work in their favor, if they don't have the advantage. As long as he can get that purple buff, he should be pretty solid. But speaking of solid, Momoe did it on a Tig, now on a Ruby. Gets a kill, takes down Yato.
Now, the one thing that, the side of Night Horde has is the Ruby to deal with the Fanny. And we've seen kind of this matchup from time to time. The Fanny gets caught by the Ruby quite easily, especially since Ruby has that stun that kind of just bodies the member of the Fanny. And, this might be some trouble here as T might get caught off here.
Yeah, gonna use a lot of utility. Implosion goes out, though, for the 2-man set. NetherRealm keeping the team alive from Sayori. Good play as Toru on the side waiting to hit that torn apart memories. 8 seconds until the turtle spawns in.
Yeah, Night Horde still has the lead in terms of the early game. It's a small lead, but nonetheless, it still is a lead. Now, the side of Devious Activities, they do have this Phobius for the Goomba Stomp. I'm not sure if that's going to create the impact that they're looking for, but they have to make sure that Kush is high in HP and he gets stunned here.
Ooh, a lot of CC on a cushion. Oh, my foe. We'll shut him down. No jungler, no retribution for Devious Activity. A small miscalculation. A big play for the Night Horde if they want to take this turtle. Petrify onto Mikasa. Of course, uses Demonic Force, but hit with the stun, and Sayori will get the kill.
Yeah, and they have the side of Night Horde has the ability to stun up the Phobius when he comes through, stun up the Fanny when he's looking to go for a kill on the boss side. They have the Black Dragon to deal with the Navarian, zoning him away, and also to cancel some of the implosion impact that T has. So Night Horde actually has a great comp to deal with the aggressiveness that Night Horde, that the side of Devious is looking to put onto the board, but. You see the Tig. Ooh. Gets a snipe and takes the blue buff.
Oh, my foe. No, he took it. No, he did take it. Implosion for the double set. Forcing out the NetherRealm. 1 HP on foe. Kush rushes in for the opportunity. Shuts him down. But Momoe will respond back. Shuts down Kush. Immobilization on the T. Unable to get out of the CC. And R will get the kill.
Yeah, that's a lot of trouble for the side of Devious, right? They had a good implosion set right there. They were able to grab up 2 of the members, but Foe is the only one that goes down. And Kush, coming out from the backside, actually had the advantage, but he did get stunned up by the Ruby. The I'm Offended paired with the second skill was just too much CC to handle. And R, even with just a Thunder Belt, he opted to go for a little bit more of a defensive, kind of like a casting build. He's still able to deal tons of damage, being up about 1k gold lead compared to Toru on the bot side.
Yeah, and right now, even though Night Horde are doing good, they need to find a way to claim some of these turrets, right? They took the first 2 turtles, even though it wasn't the easiest thing to pull off. An implosion going in, 2-man set, knock up, torn apart memories from Toru. On the way, T finds another, finds Sayori. Toru will find Momoe, 2 members falling on the board. 5-5 on the scoreboard now even for both sides.
Yeah, it's a great fight coming out from Devious Activity. They're definitely looking to, you know, win in some of these small skirmishes because, quite honestly, they haven't had the success that they have been looking for. But the top side, Kush,
Kush will rush in, finds Nakoko. Oh, man. I mean, how do you feel about Kush on the Fanny, UA, so far?
You know, like, the Fanny is quite a interesting pick here, right? If he's not able to get shut down and he has the ability to kind of run around the map without getting punished, then definitely it's good for the Fanny, right? And he's able to grab up the blue buff with no problem. But the side of Nighthorde has the Ruby and they're looking to engage on the bot side.
And this is what helps the Brody out, having that flicker to be able to get back to safety at that tier 2 turret. We kind of called that out during the draft, but he does lose his turret on the bot side, giving the Nighthorde map advantage. That's the first turret falling of this game. Turtle will go to the side of Devious Activity as a trade.
Yeah, a small trade though. Nighthorde was able to grab up to the bot side, looking to get the Yato on the mid, and that's a huge kill. That's a huge wave clear on the mid side that the side of Devious won't be available here. It's very hard to already cast Navaria, and able to catch him twice already in this series smells a lot of trouble. It means that Nighthorde has, you know, the heroes to be able to counter that long range caster mage, and 6-6 is the overall, but Nighthorde seems to still have the lead in their hands.
Yeah, 2,000 gold lead for the Nighthorde. I'm offended on a Kush, and R with grenade bombardment will find him. A great assist from Momoe on this Ruby to open up that initiation.
3k gold lead, 8 minutes in. Nighthorde still having the lead, and you can see Foe here dealing tons of damage to Mikasa. They do look to disengage, but the Nighthorde is able to grab that real estate on the top side. That's a lot of trouble for the side of Devious, especially since they're the second in line for the contending, you know, the NACT contending. And you know, Nighthorde is definitely showing up in this match. I think it's due to the comp that they decided to drop. Lots of CC here.
Yeah, or we'll find Yato, another I'm offended, catching a member out of position. The mage for the side of Devious Activity. Sayori very low. Both sides find it out. Toru will find R, though. Response back, a counterplay in the making. Toru with the double. Finds Nakoko, demonic force. Mikasa takes down Momoe. 3 members falling for the Nighthorde to 1. And now Devious Activity may have found what they needed to gain control of this game. But oh my foe in the bush clears the minion before Devious Activity can take the tier 1 turret.
Yeah, huge misplay coming out from the side of Nighthorde. They kind of over-engaged, and when you take a look at R's position there, he second skilled forward and got caught underneath the tower, and you have the Phobius kind of just Goomba stomping from the backside. They didn't even have Kush there in the team fight, and you know, when Kush is not there in the team fight, it almost feels like Devious Activity is able to get a pick off without it being traded. So definitely you're gonna see a banana split coming out from the Devious Activities, because I think that's the biggest advantage that they have in this draft.
Yeah, both teams fight it out. Astro Echo going down. Black Dragon from Nakoko. Trying to find the back line to drop down on.
Kush.
More knockup on my phone. Very low. Mikasa, demonic force will find him. Gets a double. Shuts down Momoe. Kush will get the lore. Toru finds Sayori. Devious Activity after some treachery. Nakoko will fall. Mikasa with the triple kill on the Phobius. A slam dunk. Major objectives on the board for Devious Activity. Now gaining control of the match.
Yeah, and Kush came in on the backside kind of perfectly, right? I think he definitely learned his lesson not to engage early on, especially when Ruby has the stun, and he was able to take out the Nolan just like that, right? A cutthroat, a second skill, and boom, Nolan is off the map. Devious able to be victorious in the skirmishes onto the late game. Smells a lot of trouble for the side of Nighthorde. We can take a look at the replay. Look at Kush's position on the boss. He's just waiting, looking for that pick, and boom, he comes through, grabs up Foe, hits the retribution on the Lord, and a clean team fight for the side of Devious.
Yeah, both sides playing tug of war, but Kush will find Momoe, the roamer, down for the side of Nighthorde. Netherrealm keeping them alive, as you are looking at Devious Activity trying to push through and open up their base. R, very low, needs to get back for some regen. You're going to see the Furious Dive. You're going to see Mikasa rushing with the demonic force as well. Will fall, Sayori getting a kill. Mikasa will fall. Toru taking another turret for Devious Activity. R will find Yato, though. A lot of chaos in the Land of Dawn today between Devious Activity and the Nighthorde. But Devious Activity now has control.
That's a good defense coming out from the side of Nighthorde. They did not lose any towers on the very first objective. Now, they have been losing a lot of team fights, especially the pickoffs, right? Fanny, they were able to kind of shut Kush down early on, but it seems like the later the game goes, the mobility that the Fanny has is just a little bit too much to deal with. The side of Nighthorde, they don't have that split pusher to deal with the aggression that Fanny has, and the banana split continues for the side of Devious.
Yeah, they're going to have to watch out for that, right? We talked about the Fanny being one of the most mobile heroes. Speaking of Kush, he rushes in, he tries to find an opportunity, but the CC is way too much for him to handle. Every time he goes in, you're looking at him drop until about half HP, and he's going to have to be careful with that. The later this game goes, the longer the respawn timers will be, and if he's not in these games, Nighthorde will make the most out of that advantage to be able to turn this back around to regain their control.
Are we seeing a no TIG, no win in our today's matches? Because it definitely feels like a no TIG, no win. The implosion impact on any team has been quite eventful here. And, you know, T has done so well in this game already. 1-1 and 11, catching multiple members from the side of Nighthorde. And Toru, a perfect score, 4-0 and 6, a lot better compared to the carry game that he had before. Definitely the early game can be, you know, disruptive in terms of the rotations that Nighthorde has to do. Now, 13 minutes in, 14-10 is the overall scoreboard, 3K lead for the side of Devious. And I do think the banana split strategy that they are implementing here is very hard for the side of Nighthorde to deal with.
Yeah, but you are going to have to see if Kush can kind of keep that up, right? As long as he doesn't get caught out of position. I mean, look, every time he rushes in, he's taking some serious damage, and he needs to be careful. Now, Next Lord is in position. It looks like Devious Activity and the Nighthorde have a couple of members out there to be able to contest, but T, need to be careful. About 50% HP, using the implosion super early. Demonic Force goes down as well. 2 major ultimates from Devious Activity. Nokoko, like Dragon, Nether Realm to keep him alive. Back down with the Furious Dive and the Petrify combination. R will find Yato with Grenade Bombardment. Toru responds back, taking down Nikoko. Kush will take the turret on the top side, opens up the base for the Nighthorde, and able to get out alive.
A beautiful 4 versus 5 coming out from the side of Devious. They knew that Kush was on the top side pushing, and T was able to get the implosion off before the Black Dragon was even used. The only member that fell was Yato, and I think it's due to they don't have enough front line, right? Devious, you know, and if they had the utility jungle, they should have the front line available. But this time around, Devious has an assassin, and Mikasa is not there to kind of peel off anyone that's on Yato. So Devious still struggling in terms of trying to get Yato in a good position, but now that they are winning these team fights, it's very hard for the side of Nighthorde to come back. They don't have the split push to be able to deal with it. They also don't have the implosion that, you know, the TIG pick has been denied and picked up by the side of Devious. So a lot of things that aren't going in the favor of the side of Devious and our Nighthorde, but they're going in again.
Yeah, going in. Kush with the split push. Nether Realm being activated. Knock up Toru will find Oh My Foe. Monster kill. Jungler falling for the Nighthorde. The response back though. Black Dragon from Nikoko. Drops down but not able to connect. Back to safety he goes. Devious Activity. Able to find a window of opportunity to take this Lord.
Yeah, it's going to be uncontested Lord for the side of Devious here. 16-11. Side of Devious is able to, you know, get the victory of every single of these small skirmishes. It smells a lot of trouble here. And now Nighthorde has to look to defend. A 5K gold lead here. I honestly feel like they have the opportunity to defend, especially if they could get Kush to kind of go in before the I'm Offended is used. The Black Dragon can be used to zone out the Brody, but the implosion set coming out from the TIG is very, very tough to handle, right? We've seen the implosion create so much impact, and Tigreal hasn't died a lot in this game, so he's quite tanky. He has the Antique, the Athenas, along with the Dominance Ice. He's a very tanky unit, and for the side of Nighthorde to try to find the focus in, maybe they have to get the Ruby into the backside. Maybe the Faramis has to be able to deny some of the CC that the Tigreal has, or disrupt the ability of the implosion. Maybe Nikoko has to use the Black Dragon form early on, so T does not have the ability to go for those flicker sets here.
And now, Devious Activity looking to try and close out this series. 2 inhibitors to go through, and the full team of the Nighthorde are very low. T as well. Going to go ahead and recall back to the base, which means they will not have the set potential, and the Lord will be bursted out. The Nighthorde able to defend Devious Activity on the push, but do they pull back or do they go in? Minions are falling at a fast rate, and it looks like they were not able to look for the opportunity they were hoping for.
Yeah, no, it's a good defense coming out from the side of Night Horde. They were able to grab up the Tig early, so the frontline set is not going to be available. The Black Dragon gets popped up. Might be a little bit early, but I do think the hard waves are over for the side of Night Horde. They should be able to kind of just defend against the damage coming out from the side of Devious.
See, Kush almost took down R right there. But yeah, that early Black Dragon, a little questionable. An implosion, though, not questionable at all. R by Toru, killing spree activated. May work in Night Horde's favor if they can keep it up. Demonic Force dropping down. Mikasa hit with the stun. Astral Echo connecting to the full team of the Night Horde. From Yato, finds the snipe, takes down Nikoko. The suppression, Winter Truncheon, trying to stop on my foe. Kush with the steel cables, the cutthroat on the foe. One more hit, able to take him down. Uses his retribution. And back to safety he goes. A 2-for-2 trade.
It is a 2-for-2 trade, but typically when it comes down to, you know, these even trades, the losing team is going to have a little bit of advantage, just getting some gold back into their favor. 18-13 is the overall. The Navaria is still dealing tons of damage. 82k, Fovea 71k. So a lot of magic damage being provided for the side of Devious Activities, and paired up with the Fanny, it's definitely a tough situation to defend there.
And I got to kind of give credit to T over there on this TIG. We kind of mentioned he's been running a lot of like the frontline fighter.
The fighters.
Roamers, right? He's had the Hilda, he's had the Ruby. But we got to see him showcase a Kaja. He did well on that. And now being even more versatile, pulling out the Tigreal, which is becoming that staple child for the roam position. And like you said, it's really boiling down to whoever has Tig on their side having the advantage. But right now, still anybody's game as the Lord spawns in and the Night Horde looking like they're preparing to contest.
Yeah, now it's kind of the side of Night Horde to see how they could defend against the split push coming out from Fanny, because Kush has done a great job, and look at him looking to go for that kill on to the Nolan, but he's not going to be able to get it. But the 4 vs 4 fight.
NetherRealm going down, a knock-up over there from T. Immortality being proc, double Immortality. R will fight Toru, though, gets that double. Shuts down T. Yato finds Nikoko. A triple kill from R's. Mikasa will fall. Yato, Kush by themselves against the 4-man team of the Night Horde. Is this the game ender? Is this what the Night Horde needed to close out this series? A major objective. I'm offended for the 7. Yato with the steal gets the Lord for Devious Activity, and back to safety he goes. Kush not even needed. Split pushes on the bottom side.
That's huge for the side of Devious. Yato able to save the game with a Novaria's second skill. Unfortunately, Night Horde was unable to secure that objective. And now the Lord, it's a slow march. It hasn't even spawned, and the members of Devious is going to be up and available for this push here. Night Horde in a pretty bad situation. I'm not sure if they're going to be able to come back alive with this Lord marching down.
I always say with the Navaria, it's like getting 2 retributions for 1, and it goes to show right there. Kush got out of position on my foe. Proxy Immortality gets the kill. Hit with the Astral Echo. Hit with the snipe. T conceal play. Implosion flicker gets the setup, and down he goes. Immortality proc, but NetherRealm trying to keep him alive. So Yori not able to get that. Toru finds on my foe. So Yori now may find himself down as well. Unable to escape 25 members. Toru will get the kill. A knockup. Demonic Force airborne. And Coco goes as Yato sends him to the moon. 2-for-1 trade. Lord will be bursted down by the Night Horde. But Devious Activity on the push. They may be able to full send this. They do have the numbers. Only 1 lane of minions though. Do they go in for the ender?
Oh my god, the damage going on to R is just unbelievable. Yato's on the backside, just looking at R the whole entire time. Now the side of Night Horde, they have to look to defend. This implosion does come through.
T with the implosion on a Sayori, but not going to hit the impact. He's looking for Momoi, shutting down Yato. A turnaround possibly for the Night Horde. Devious Activity needs to be careful. Mikasa hit with a lot of CC. Stun, unable to get out of there. Forced to use the Demonic Force. Sayori will find him. Devious Activity stripped down the Night Horde of all of their inhibitor turrets, but not able to close out the game.
Yeah, it seems like Nighthorde has found the rhythm in terms of these small skirmishes that are so important in the late game. They could win these 4v4 team fights without foe. They could win these small skirmishes and defend, and now a 5-man siege onto the mid side. The death timers are so huge right now. 30 seconds for Mikasa, 20 for Yato.
Oh, they're going for it. They're trying to close this game out and conceal play it. Oh,
T!
One chance. Winner truncheon from Toru to keep him alive. R opens up the base of Yori, finds Kush. Looks like Nighthorde trying to close it out. Black Dragon. R will be able to get the kill. Shuts down T Toru by himself. Only no minions though. They don't have minions. They have to wait for the minions to come through the mid lane to close this out. Mikasa back in 3 seconds. Toru and Yato to defend against the 5-man team of the Nighthorde. Is this the game ender? Yato finds one, finds on my foe, but the Nighthorde takes down the base crystal to close out the series against Devious Activity.
Victory!
Yo! Are we in this or what? Nighthorde able to take the victory in this best of 3 series 2-1 in a fashionable statement against the second place teams in standing 21-23-42 of complete bloodbath coming out from both teams, and they're able to turn around this no tig no win fashion here that we have in the week 2 day 1.
No tig, no win, able to kind of keep the world at their toes. That was a crazy series. Yue again,
we did it.
Able to win with his predictions. How does he do it? Is you are going to see the Nighthorde pushing through. It was a very explosive game. I mean, both sides having over 20 kills. Man, a lot to break down inside of that match at that 22-minute, 35-second mark. Devious Activity was at a position where they could have closed it out. They took all the inhibitor turrets. But last second, Nighthorde, a light switch turned on, and they were able to push through Devious Activity to close out the series with the last-minute conceal play and a full siege through the mid lane.
Yeah, a great game coming out from the side of Nighthorde. And you can take a look at some of the items that Art has built up. It's definitely a tower focusing build there. But honestly, the side of Nighthorde, they have the ability to kind of shut down the Fanny and also the Phobius pretty much the whole entire game. They had counters to deal with the Tigreal, especially coming out from the Ruby. So Tig is not like an all-win card so far. It's just that the Tigreal has been quite strong in plenty of these engagements. But the side of Devious, once again, they picked up the Brody quite early on and kind of got outranged by the Clint when he comes into the late game, right? The team fight participation again, Sayori, beautifully, 95% KP, and also 110k damage for R. The 2 damage dealers from the side of Nighthorde just pairing so well, especially with the front line, the physical damage that the Nolan and the Yuzong provides.
Yeah, just overall a very good game from both sides. Like I said, they're battling like tug of war. Whoever could just pull that rope a little bit harder, but the Nighthorde able to make it work in their favor. Last second, and this is a major statement. Looking at the rich guy R, 856 gold per minute. Yato, the carry, the sandbag from Mikasa, and the Forgotten One T, racking up them assists at 18. Now, like we said, this is a major statement for the Nighthorde. They took down Devious Activity, who was sitting in that number 2 position, forcing them down to that number 3, putting Area 77 in the number 2, and completely changing the entire bracket for points for all of these teams so far. And this is what you love to see, right? You don't want to see one-sided stories in North America. These teams are scaling through the times, and Nighthorde, not disappointing, off to a good start, able to shut down Devious Activity and climb higher on the bracket.
Yeah, you could definitely hear the Nighthorde roar from the backside, but got the host Liz coming back into place here. How'd you feel about that game?
I mean, I don't know what to say. I just want to ask Yue the question, what is it? Like, are you doing some kind of betting behind the scene? Like, what is going on? You just keep on getting that dark horse pick, but it's always right. So tell us about it.
No, I mean, it's definitely not, all like, it's definitely not like I just shot in the dark and it just ends up winning. It's a close game coming out from both teams, and Devious definitely had the opportunity to win in that series. But, the dark horses, the black dragons, the underdogs this time around, able to take care of business. Liz, it's been a great betting so far in terms of the votes.
So what Yue is saying, he's just better than all of us with his predictions and his understanding of the teams. So congratulations, Yue, on mastering that prediction game again. How do you feel, Weezy? Losing the bet to Yue this game?
It's bittersweet. It's bittersweet. I mean, I'm torn between two things, right? Number one is obviously I'm upset about losing my prediction yet again. But I'm happy to see the Nighthorde able to turn that around and a different Nighthorde than we've seen last in ACT. They've been improving through the season and they're just getting started. And that's what I love to see. I don't want to see one-sided stories, 2-0 sweep. So I'm glad it went to a game number 3. I'm not happy about my predictions, but I'm happy about seeing teams scale through the times because we want to see North America grow, especially for whoever wins the NACT spring season is going to represent us internationally. And hey, if that was just a showcase of the talent we have to provide today, and our matches are just getting started, this wasn't even the most anticipated series of the day.
Yeah,
it's already going better than we expected. So now we have an interview with the team that won Nighthorde. We have Oh My Foe joining us at the desk today.
Hello.
Hello, Foe. How are you doing?
Doing good.
Congratulations on that victory.
Thank you.
Well, I think the first off, you guys obviously did super well in all 3 games, but the elephant in the room is kind of what is going on with the roster swaps? Because you guys swapped rosters multiple times this series. What is the reason for swapping in the Coco for in game 3 again?
It's because our XP laner has strict Asian parents. So like he has dinner at 7 and he can't really dodge it, you know? He can't tell his parents.
Whoa,
like,
is that actually what happened?
That's the main reason, yeah. We got Nikoko last second.
So Sleepy's mom or dad told him, "Oh, you have to have dinner right now," and then he just quit playing the game. Wow,
he was,
that's
his parents were screaming at him the second game too. So we were just trying to like hurry
up.
Wow.
Well, it shows very talented young players for sure for the NACT. Hopefully next time Sleepy can make it with the series. And the other question that a lot of our fans actually have is there's a stereotype that girls are not as good at video games than boys, but Sayuri is doing so well. So do you think from a team leader's perspective that Sayuri is as good as other mid laners like Hoon?
I mean, I wouldn't say she's better than Hoon, but I could say she's up there. But like, since I'm technically like the drafter for the team, so what I usually do is like she's strong with these and these type of heroes, and like I kind of draft around her. So like that's why she plays well most of the time.
Yeah, and she's doing super well with that Nana pick. Definitely very well drafted on your part. So that's amazing. And the last thing is, we know that you participated in some previous tournaments as well. So why don't you give us a little introduction on your team, who you think is a very strong player, your own history. Just give us a little briefing on Nighthorde.
So, I mean, we had a couple of roster changes, but Tonak's like the main one that I didn't swap around with. Since like we're the main duo since Beat the Odds. But realistically, our strong, I mean, obviously R is one of our strong goal laners too. And like, I feel like we're strong all around. It depends on our draft, realistically. Like some days they play pretty bad, and some days I play pretty bad too, but we work around it.
Yeah, sometimes the moms is calling a little harder. Some days they have more chill time. So definitely keep that out. And you guys did really well today, making a strong appearance in the NACT, beating the top 2 team right now. DA is top 2, and then you guys just beat them. So much potential, and we look forward to your future drafts, and we look forward to seeing you back at the desk again.
All right, thank you.
Whoa, guys. Did you hear that interview, guys?
Bits and pieces, but we kind of have a hard time hearing it since we're on the actual show. But I did hear that he said Sleepy had to go eat, and that's why he wasn't able to.
So Sleepy has Asian parents. So Sleepy's parents does not let him play video games. So he has dinner at 7, and it's a very strict dinner time. So Sleepy has to go have dinner with his parents instead of dropping out of the competition. So that's definitely something that's very interesting and very unique to our NA players.
Yeah, definitely unique. Just showcases that we have players from all different perspective areas showcasing their talent of different ages as well, you know, so it's definitely some credit to them. You mentioned them taking down the number 2 team, Devious Activity. Not the easiest thing to do, and that just showcases that Nighthorde is one of those contenders that we're going to have to watch for as we progress through the regular season.
Yeah, definitely, you know, one of the underdog teams that are able to perform quite well, and especially with, you know, multiple members that haven't been in the NACT circuit for quite some time. It's very exciting to see all these teams dominate some of the contenders, some of the veterans that are on the stage, right? And, you know, the next game that we have is, again, another two dark horse team. It's going to be between Legacy and Fiends. It's quite an exciting match to see all these, you know, underdog teams perform at such a high level, keeping the contenders in check.
Well, Yue, you keep getting a little too excited out there. We still haven't found the MVP yet. The MVP, I believe, is ready. So, Weezy, why don't you take us through it?
That's right. As we are looking at the MVP, it will be Momoe. We've seen his showcasing on the Tigreal in game number 1, the Ruby on game number 2, 3, 4, and 13. An amazing performance, getting the sets that his team needed, opening up the initiation for the counter plays as well when you saw Devious Activity try and take the fight to them. A good roamer, and honestly, I'm looking forward to seeing what he brings to the table as they progress against some of the other contenders in the NA scene. But taking down Devious Activity, the number 2 team, off to a great start.
Yeah, definitely good performance coming out from Momoe here. He's able to kind of just deny Kush every single opportunity that he had with the Fanny there. The Tigreal was great plays through, and you know, he's constantly challenging the meta with a lot of these great picks, right? The Ruby that got picked up twice, the Tigreal that also got picked up again. Dominating performance from Momoe, definitely well deserved as a roamer for the MVP.